So, Uomo by Salvatore Ferragamo is a fragrance that I'm personally a very big fan of, with that sort of tiramisu, cinnamon, boozy opening. This one, on the other hand, is a new flanker, and it seems to venture into blue territory. I'm excited to be telling you what I think of it in terms of my first impression, so stay tuned. Now, before I formally begin the video, I do just want to say that if you like this type of content and if you are a fan of this channel, I would really appreciate it if you could support this channel by subscribing to it. All you got to do is click that red subscribe button in the corner. However, please wait until the end of the video to do so and allow me to provide value first. So this is a fragrance that I discovered on a recent trip that I took to Canada, and I went to the Hudson's Bay Company and they hooked us up with a bunch of samples. And of course, I am a fan of Salvatore Ferragamo and the Uomo line. I do like Uomo Intense, and then I also tried Casual Feel, which I actually kind of like that one a little bit too. I feel as though it deviated a lot from the original, and the original is one that I am a huge fan of. As I said earlier, I do like the sort of spicy, cinnamon, gourmand, boozy approach that it takes. It kind of smells like a cake or some type of a dessert or something, and it's amazing. And it's personally one that I love to wear in the fall time, just because I feel as though a lot of the spicy ingredients kind of evoke that season. And here I discovered that they came out with another flanker. This one is a combination of perfumers. You have Alberto Morillas, who is pretty much known for creating a lot of fresh fragrances. He's done Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani, Jeremy Fragrances, Fragrance, Office One, Office for Men, I should say, Fragrance One. And so here's another fresh offering, and this one was composed in combination with Marie Salaman. And I was looking at the note breakdown, and there's ambroxan, there's bergamot, there's a little bit of coffee, there's cumin, there's sandalwood, there's clary sage, which, believe it or not, is used in a lot of oceanic fragrances. There's also a little bit of labdanum incense. It's a pretty unique composition, cedarwood as well. And so I was really ruminating on the notes and the way that it made me feel. And I was also kind of subconsciously, I guess, comparing it to other fragrances within this line. And so I have it here. I have it sprayed here. I sprayed it about 6 or 7 minutes ago. My first impression is this is the obligatory blue fragrance. I feel as though every designer house that comes out, they need to have that one sort of blue shower jelly kind of a scent. And I think with Burberry, it's Mr. Burberry. I think with Dior, it's Dior Sauvage. I think with Chanel, it's Bleu de Chanel. And I think with Ferragamo, it's not F Black, it's not F, it's not the original Uomo. I think it's this one. And even when you take a look at the bottle, right, it even has a blue color. So I feel as though this is one that is sort of geared or catered towards a younger demographic. It's even evident in the name, Urban Feel. I guess they were going with like a young, hip, urban sort of city dwelling population. And the fresh notes are the ones that are immediately apparent. So you do get a lot of bergamot, you get a lot of clary sage. You also get a really nice combination of aromatic notes in combination with the citrus. However, the citrus is short-lived. And ambroxan, in my opinion, is the most concentrated note or molecule in this composition. And believe it or not, it's an ingredient that I actually quite enjoy. I do get kind of bored of it if it's overdone and it's done on a mass level. With fragrances like Dior Sauvage, I think a lot of people erroneously equate the smell of ambroxan to that sharp metallic opening that you get. Ambroxan is supposed to be the synthetic counterpart of ambergris. And that's a sort of animalic but also rather fresh ingredient. And there's certainly a freshness in here. Perhaps I get a little bit of the woods, but it's hard to pin it back down to, is it cedarwood or sandalwood or whatever. The incense is also not very apparent, and there's nothing in here that smells smoky whatsoever to my nose. For me, to be honest with you, it just comes across as a rather fresh, clean, shower gel type scent that deviates a great deal from the original Uomo, which was also done by Alberto Morillas, if I'm not mistaken. To be honest with you, as much as I enjoy this scent, it seems like one that would get lost in the shuffle. I feel as though if you take a lot of really popular designer fragrances, let's say, for example, you take Le Male, you take CH for Men by Carolina Herrera, you take, any number of other, Bleu de Chanel. I feel as though when you smell it, you'll know which one is which because they have an iconic smell. This one just has this sort of spicy, fresh, aromatic smell that if you sprayed 5 other blue fragrances, I think this one could very easily get lost in the shuffle. So for that reason, I have a sample of this one. I don't think I'm going to purchase this one. If I do, it would really only be to review it for you guys. But then again, I don't know how much variation that video is going to have from this one, just because I feel pretty confident in the way that I feel towards this one, right? All in all, I think that this one is a very fresh, bright, and pleasant scent. I think that if you take somebody who's not really into fragrances and you spray this one along with the original and many of the associated flankers, this is the one that they're going to gravitate towards, just because it's easy to pull off. It's probably going to get you a lot of compliments. It can be worn very comfortably, but at the end of the day, it's the type of scent that doesn't really interest me. It doesn't really have a wow factor to it for me. But ultimately, I do think it's a very pleasant scent. Now, I think that given the price of this one, if the price seems to drop in the future, it could be found online at a discounted level, I would certainly recommend that you go out there and purchase this one, especially for the type of person who wants a fresh fragrance, or they want to buy a fresh fragrance for someone else, but they don't necessarily want them to smell like Bleu de Chanel or Dior Sauvage, and they basically want to add some variety to their olfactory wardrobe. Then I think that this one is a pretty solid choice. Just keep in mind, as far as it caters to my personal nose, there isn't much of a wow factor, but I do kind of like how they blended the spicy, aromatic, and fresh elements together to sort of produce not necessarily an aquatic fragrance, but a blue fragrance. I hope that makes sense. But ultimately, I do find it to be rather nice. It's just one that doesn't necessarily wow me, and had I been given the opportunity to purchase this one, I probably wouldn't. And I say that with a great degree of truth and accuracy, because I actually did have the opportunity to purchase this one recently when I was in Canada, and instead I did not purchase this one. Instead, I bought Mugler Alien Man Fusion, and I also bought the new Gucci Mémoire d'une Odeur. So ultimately, I do think that this is a solid scent if this is what you're in the market for, but my personal opinion, again, it doesn't wow me. This one doesn't really cater to my personal taste, and this one is really just a blue fragrance that falls within the blue family. In terms of occasions for this one, I can definitely see this one being worn in a formal scenario, just because it comes across very professional. It's definitely suitable for an office setting. And even though I mentioned City Dweller earlier on in the review, it doesn't necessarily smell like something that would be worn by somebody who's out and about running errands, you know, going from here to there constantly. It just smells like something that you would put on when you want to smell good, you want to smell professional, you want to evoke a clean aura, and you also want to come across well-groomed and polished. And I definitely think that this conveys that. I think this one can also be worn casually too, on account of the price point. Of course, the casual flanker is the one that you would probably be more likely to wear in a casual scenario. So perhaps I think that this one is a bit more formal, but then that also kind of brings me back to the original Uomo, which is, of course, cinnamon heavy. And I'm thinking to myself, is that one that's going to be best worn as a novelty scent? Because oftentimes I find that when a scent is so unique and is so weird and is so different, I have a hard time finding the right occasion for it, but I do think that the sweetness really mellows it out and makes it wearable. And so it makes it more likable. It's not like one fragrance that's super smoky or woodsy and incensey, and it's basically not, you're not able to wear it in public at all. I don't think that that's the case for the original Uomo, nor do I think that of any of its flankers, including the Intense flanker, which also had an amped up leather note. I actually pretty much like that one as well, but I did find it to be a little redundant. This one, on the other hand, I do think it's a good flanker. However, keep in mind that they did change things up a lot from the original, and so if you're buying this as somebody who's a fan of the original and you want to add to the collection, keep in mind this one is going to smell very, very different. There is not an inkling of semblance or similarity to the original in the DNA of the scent. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my first impression on Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Urban Feel. If you, owner, have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you're new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, again, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to this channel to support this channel. It's easy and it's free. All you need to do is click that red subscribe button in the corner. And this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance-related content, it'll get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And of course, that includes fragrance reviews just like this, top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, interviews, special guests, and a whole lot more. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.